Now to a story that continues to stir debate across Nigeria's traditional landscape. The bill seeking to establish a national council for traditional rulers following widespread backlash over claims that it would elevate the Sultan of Sokoto and the Oni of Ife as permanent co-chairman. The sponsor, Senator Simon Lalong, has come out to debunk those reports, insisting the bill contains no such clause. But even with that clarification, concerns remain, especially from regions like the Niger Delta, about fair representation, ethnic balance, and who gets to sit at the symbolic top of Nigeria's royal table. So, what does this bill really propose? What protections exist for regional integrity, and how do we avoid unintended hierarchies in a country this diverse? Joining us now to unpack the multifaceted dimensions of this bill is the Executive Director of Vital Partners for Development, Dr. Victor David. You're welcome on the program, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Nigerian. Good afternoon, Niger Deltas. Good afternoon, Akwa Ibomites. It's good to be here.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
The bill started and came on board when there was a lot of clamors for more roles to be given to the traditional rulers in the country, and ensuring that they are carried along, not just by words of mouth, but constitutionally. And one would believe that this is what all the traditional rulers in the country would clamor for. But then it was surprising to see that there were dissenting voices that came out to say there are parts of this bill that we do not appreciate. And in as much as it has a lot of promise, we would like these areas to be addressed. But then let's look at the merits of the bill generally. At this time, do you agree that the country, as diverse as Nigeria, should give more place, more pride of place, that is, to the traditional institutions? Should they be more recognized, constitutionally speaking?
All right, thank you for your question. I want to start by saying that while the traditional and the religious institutions were once the backbone of Nigerian society, Western influence, political influence, meddling, and poor leadership have weakened their relevance and authority in Nigeria. Right now, constitutionally, we are looking at how to institutionalize the traditional institution and also the religious institution, because both of them cannot be separated per everyday daily living in Nigeria. Every church is located in a local government, in a village. Now you can have, let me use Methodist Church, Lokoja, Methodist Church, Lagos State, Methodist Church, Akwa Ibom State. You know, every church is named after a community, so you cannot actually separate the religious organization from the traditional institution. So there is this symbiotic relationship between both. But at this point in Nigeria, we have to be careful how we streamline both of them so that there will be no clash of interest, clash of personality. So that this institution should not be politicized. So at this point, we welcome the bill. But since there's a lot of clamors in Nigeria that these issues should be separated, because when this bill was presented at the second reading, a lot of things were mentioned that we as activists from the north, the south, to the east, to the west, we are saying this particular slogan, this particular issue should be deleted from that bill, which has to do with the inclusion of the Sultan of Sokoto, who happens to be a religious leader in the traditional bill. No. If it's a traditional bill, let it be a traditional bill. If it's a religious bill, let it be a religious bill. Let the Sultan of Sokoto, make sure that he concentrates with what he has to do with religious activity, moon sighting, and all conducting all the festival for the Muslim community. Let him concentrate with that. We should not mix it. I remember sometime that Ojukwu mentioned something before he died. He was given the title of Odumegu Jugu of Onitsha. He said, no, remove the of. It's westernized. Make sure that you call me the way it should be addressed. So this is the way we are looking at it.
All right. Well, Senator Lalong insists there's no permanent co-chair clause in the bill, which is one of the areas that the dissenting voices hammered on, saying that there is a clause that makes the co-chair arrangement permanent, and is saying that there is no clause like that. Is the issue about the chairmanship being permanent, or is it about the religious aspect of it, as you had rightly mentioned?
No, one, we have to look at the religious aspect. First of all, the Sultan of Sokoto should not be part of that traditional institution. He has to be excluded, number one. Then the chairmanship of that National Traditional Council should be included, that people from Akwa Ibom said, the Shekiris, the Jaws, the Orobos, the Ogonis in Rivers State, the Queres, and everyone from the Niger Delta should be part of the bill. The Obas of Benin and every other person should sit down and agree. This is the man that should lead us. The Obong of Calabar, they should sit. We have first-class chiefs in Nigeria, and these are the people that should sit down and say, okay, this is who and who should be the chairman of this. Now, the bill has been presented. This other traditional first-class traditional ruler should be invited for a meeting and say, this is our contribution. This is who should lead us, because it is not the Senate that will lead the National Traditional Council. It is the law that backs it up. But allow the people who are part and parcel of the traditional institution to appoint their chairman and appoint their leader.
Well, the sponsor of the bill had specifically mentioned that there would be a public hearing for this bill, where, of course, all the leaders would be invited to speak and air their views, reactions, and contributions regarding what they hope to see and what they hope would eventually go on to become law and acceptable for how the traditional institutions will be accepted and incorporated by the Constitution. What are those areas that you hope would feature prominently in that public hearing when it takes center stage?
Now, one of the areas we are going to look at, we have to look at the leadership structure of the National Traditional Council's bill. Who is going to lead us? What is their tenure? What is their qualification? What are you looking at before you say this is the leader? Do you understand? Is it ethnic? Is it religious? Is it tribal setting? We have to consider a lot of things. Now, I want to speak for the Niger Delta, because I'm representing Niger Delta here now. We have to look at the people. Okay, most of the revenue produced in Nigeria comes from the Niger Delta. And when it comes to the center stage, most of our traditional rulers are looked down on. They are not respected in Nigeria. Like the Oni of Ife, like the Sultan of Sokoto we've just mentioned, like the emirs in the north. We have to also look at the traditional rulers from the Niger Delta. Okay, these people are the goats that lays the golden egg. They have to have a good place in the traditional institution of this country, Nigeria. I want to put it up to you, sir. Before now, don't forget, civilization actually started in Africa. Benin Empire, if you read about Benin Empire, you discover that Benin Empire were the first to have electricity before United Kingdom. Benin Empire was the first to produce third road before United Kingdom. They came here to learn from us. That's why I say, if we have to strengthen the traditional institution, let it be as stronger as it used to be before the advent of westernization.
All right. Well, beyond the co-chair drama and the other controversies that we have spoken about, do you truly see merits of this bill? Do you see it addressing the long-running issue of the sidelining of traditional rulers?
I don't see it, because from the presentation we are having here, the Ohanes Ndibo group says no. The Hausa people are criticizing the bill. Do you understand? If the bill comes to solve the traditional institution issues, let everybody in that enclave accept the bill during the public sitting. But if the people in that enclave do not support the bill, then the bill should be put aside. Do you understand? I believe before the public hearing, an invitation should extensively given to our first-class traditional rulers who will make presentation during the public sitting, and some of the things we have mentioned today will also be mentioned in that sitting.
Well, some traditional rulers in Rivers had been invited, and they spoke elaborately on this bill. They were not opposing the idea of the bill, and especially the aspect that recognizes traditional institution in the constitution and empowers them to be able to mediate in some of the activities that they are, of course, supposed to do. You would also agree that the traditional rulers have a direct link to the grassroots, and they play a very vital role when it comes to maintaining the peace. We talk about the security issues. They have they are the go-to.
Okay, before you land, can I ask you what are they doing right now before the bill arrives? What are the traditional rulers doing right now?
But this bill is supposed to strengthen them.
Now the bill comes to strengthen them. They have been doing that job. The bill, if the bill is not politicized, the bill will strengthen them. If the bill is politicized, the bill will weaken them. Because look, let me tell you, you cannot separate politics from this bill. At the end of the day, I just read in paper today that our president, Bola Tinubu, wants to have meeting with the South traditional rulers. Do you understand? So that they can support his second bid. Do you understand? This is part of politics. You cannot separate the traditional institution. Now, we have to make a clearer call to the traditional institution that please stay away from politics. This is the only way. This bill is highly politicized. They should, if it is not going to be properly documented, they should allow our traditional rulers to maintain the peace that we have been having in Akwa Ibom State, in the Niger Delta, the way it was. If it is coming to threaten the national unity and institutionalize ethnic favoritism, let the bill be set aside.
Well, when you look at the Niger Delta region and the crop of traditional rulers that we have in this region compared to their counterparts in other regions of the country, would you say we are effectively represented nationally? Do we have that national recognition, and do we command that level of respect that other facets of traditional stools of other regions command currently? And if not, where is the problem from, and how do you think that can be addressed? Are there steps that can be taken towards ensuring that these issues are addressed?
Okay,
which of course is one of the reasons this bill came to stream.
Yes, like now, this bill in Akwa Ibom State here, we had a bill in Akwa Ibom State Assembly that strengthened the traditional institutions in Akwa Ibom State,
which also raised controversy.
Also raised controversy. But we passed through that hurdles. We crossed the bridge, and we have the Okibo Mibibio, who is the leader of the traditional institution and also ranked among the Obong of the Efik, the Oba of Benin, and now we've been able to establish that. Be that as it may, this bill, compared with a class of first-class chiefs, traditional rulers we have in the Niger Delta, I think if they come together with a strong voice, with national integration in their mind, with unity in their mind, not for personal development, we are going to be listened to at the national. But if we come with discernment voices, everybody will sing his own song, everybody will dance his own dance. No, this unity cannot allow the traditional institutions to be stronger. When that bill was introduced in Akwa Ibom State, everybody went against it, but we supported the bill and said, let the bill stand. And now we have it. Do you understand? It's rolling. The bill is working. If all the traditional rulers in the Niger Delta region should come together and say, okay, let us operate with one voice, they will be recognized at the level. Don't forget, earlier before now, the North understood the traditional institution better than the South earlier before now in Nigeria. But I want the South, the South region, which is the Niger Delta region, to also copy from the North. It's an institution that everyone comes to recognize. A white man in those days cannot come to Kano without going to the palace of the emir of Kano to greet him. Do you understand? But our traditional institution rulers will leave their palace to go and greet the governor. How? Do you understand?
That is a salient point. But then how can that be addressed? Because, I mean, that downplays their role.
That is why I said that these traditional institutions should be depoliticized. We have to take politics out of it. See, my brother, there was a time in this country. There was a time in this place. I'm from a local government in Ibiono. Do you understand? When you want to come and see the paramount ruler of Ibiono, you have to prepare yourself well. Because you might see strange things in that place. You might see traditional powers. Some of them have lost their traditional powers because they have embraced westernization, and those powers have gone. They are just like an empty boxes. That's why people have looked down on them. It should be strengthened, not just by the constitution, not just by this legal framework. It should be strengthened also by the spiritual content of the traditional institutions.
Thank you very much, Executive Director, Vital Partners for Development, CSO, Dr. Victor David, for coming on Niger Delta today. The conversation will still continue, especially as we hope for the public hearing and, of course, the contents that will emerge from it. Thank you for coming on the program. And
Thank you, sir.
All right, that's the size of Niger Delta today. We appreciate you staying with us. Tune in again tomorrow for another fresh edition. My name is Xavier Robert, wishing you a terrific afternoon. Bye.